Hello, and welcome to Eternal Ramblings, the show that's not really a show. Just me talking into a microphone for an indeterminate amount of time today. We were not around this weekend, and usually I do record these on the weekend, Friday, Saturday, or Sunday. Well, today being Sunday, that is. But we were on the road on Friday and out of town on Saturday and just came back today. Back home. We were actually down seeing my sister graduate from police academy. Yeah. It's pretty cool. She is definitely not the type of person that you expect to be.
Hey, pretty girl.
Back home. We were actually down seeing my sister graduate from police academy. Yeah. It's pretty cool. She is definitely not the type of person that you expect to be a police officer of any stripe, but she decided to go into this career field. She wanted to be when she was younger, she wanted to be a forensic scientist, I believe. Well, something like that. Always had an idea that she wanted to work with the FBI, even though I happen to have it on good authority from a guy who used to be a former sheriff's deputy that the FBI really isn't looking for law enforcement personnel. No, they want analysts and they want college-educated businessmen and other such people. Yeah, not really law enforcement types because they need people with specific expertise, essentially. But hey, she still has time to get a master's and to finish her education, I do believe. I believe her degree is in some kind of psychology, maybe some kind of criminal psychology. I'm not exactly certain. So that does go places. So it's much better than just going into a police academy without any sort of degree. So I guess she has something of a leg up. But yeah, she's graduated from police academy, and I decided to go down and watch her graduate and celebrate with her a little bit. Hang out with her and my parents, since we haven't seen them for a little bit. So it was a nice weekend, but all in all, I was not able to get a recording up. I kept looking for an opening to do a recording, was never able to. There was a nice period today when we were out on a walk. That would have been really nice to do a sort of a live recording with video. But, what can you do? Didn't really work out. I wasn't exactly trying too hard to get it done. And it was kind of an awkward time because we were with Sal's parents at the time today. So, whatever. Here I am with what will probably be a mini ramble. Don't really have too many things to say, but when do I ever? That's actually been a thing that I've been contemplating. What can we do with the community? Because real talk time, nothing's really happening on the forum. Yeah. A few people post things. I post a couple things every now and again. Especially in the Onlosheim roleplay that I have going with Sal. Hadash posts things every now and again, and as does Brum. And that's pretty nice. Not much else happens, though. Things have pretty much died down in Modern Tech roleplay. Things have quieted down in Alternate Earth. The only thing currently going on, I would say, is Onlosheim with me and Sal, and nothing else is going on there. Nothing's going on in Fantasia. What else would there be? Surprisingly, nothing is going on in, say, the corner or the diner, etc. No spam, no general discussion, no discussion of topics, no essays. I do miss I do miss Nence's essays. Those are always fun to read, but he's been kind of busy with his career at the moment. He actually has an interesting career that he can tell you all about. I won't. But he gets to do a lot of research and present it to some other people. I was about to say important people, but I'm not entirely sure exactly how important they happen to be. So, nothing's really been happening on the forum. A lot of activity on the Discord, don't get me wrong. Everyone's been pretty active on there, especially lately. The sort of summer doldrums have cleared themselves up a little bit, but that doesn't translate to any activity on the forum. There's no real roleplay, and this is supposed to be a role-playing community. So it begs the question, why do we have the forum? What are we going to do with this community? Are we going to stick to Discord? Because I have reservations about staying on the Discord. Nothing is permanent. There is no sort of landing page for Discord. You don't have that same sense of permanence. And sure, you can always scroll up, and someone will say, oh, you can just scroll up, but you can't really archive and categorize on Discord. You can't. You can't have a thread and say sticky it, or say have a group, not really a group, a table of contents almost, you know. You can't categorize your content. And sure, we have categories, but I'm talking about sorting. Sorting in a way where you can easily recall what was put up. You can have different categories on Discord, but exactly how many people are going to scroll up many thousands of replies to an area to find one specific thing that they talked about? It's not going to happen. Even if it's something really, really important. Even if it's me who's really anal about finding something that's really, really darn important, it's not going to happen. It's going to be lost forever to the ether. And that's one of the problems I have with Discord and having a community that's entirely on Discord. Now, it makes sense to have a place to talk. Discord is much better than the chat box that we used to have, and I really like having a chat box as a place to get together and have conversations about things without having to take the time to go through a formal process of writing a post and then posting it and then waiting for a reply and then refreshing to see if a reply was made. That takes time, and it's very slow, and you don't get a sense that you're having an actual conversation. You know, when you're making a post, you're writing something, and it's essentially a mini essay. You're putting it out there, and then someone is responding to that mini essay, picking it apart into several different pieces, responding to each of those pieces quite often, especially when it comes to, any sort of nation-states community where people can't take an argument as a whole, apparently, and they have to pick apart every single thing. Actually, that seems to be true for pretty much everywhere on the internet nowadays, where they fall into this very wonderful fallacy of having to pick apart every single individual piece of an argument as opposed to addressing an argument as a whole. And even though it is very useful to pick apart pieces of an argument, doing so is not a rebuttal of the entire argument. Pieces being wrong in an argument doesn't make an argument wrong. But, tell that to anyone on the internet apparently nowadays. So, anyway, aside from that, or rather that aside, it is so much better to have what is as much of a face-to-face discussion on the internet through Discord as you can have. Real-time conversations, writing back and forth, instant replies. It's almost, all the good things about having an instant messenger or a chat box. And Discord is really good about categorizing and making different areas where you can do things, and has so many different tools, I guess I would say, to make life so much easier and so much better and much more entertaining. I absolutely adore some of the bots that we have. You know, that's just one example. But it's not permanent. Things that happen on there will be lost simply to the sands of time, as opposed to on the forum where I can go back years. And we have old archived forums that we're going back 10 years to see things that have been written, created, discussed. You won't have that with Discord. It would be nice, I do suppose, if there was a way to archive Discord conversations, or at least part of them, into a post, maybe, essentially some way to archive Discord conversations in some capacity, in whole or in part. I don't know if that's possible. I don't know much about Discord. I would have to have someone with much more experience. Maybe any of our administrators. I don't know how much experience they have. Rami created it. He might have experience. Icarius as well. He managed a lot of the bots and set up a lot of what the current Discord currently is. But I have no idea. And that would be the really only solution I could find to making some kind of permanence. But even then, with Discord becoming our main source of community, what is this community about? I still go onto the forums and post things on the forums. Mostly this ramble. A few other things pertaining to games. Every now and again I make an RP post, a role-playing post with Sal or whoever else wants to, even though there doesn't seem to be much interest or want for it. And yet I don't see anyone else on there. Every now and again I see names pop up. But even though we have so many members active and discussing and talking on the Discord, that doesn't translate to activity on the forum, which is the hub of the community. That is where important announcements are made. That is where long form, posts essentially can be made. That's where self-advertisement for things such as this can be made. But what is this community about then? If we're going to always be on the Discord? If we are not going to be role-playing in the Eternity role-playing community? It's nice to have a community, but the community is shrinking. If you haven't noticed. Sure, everyone comes back. Eventually, some people do. A lot of the old names stick around to talk in the Discord, and that's pretty nice. But there's no one new. There are people on our Discord who do not speak in our Discord, and I can't really count them as participating. And there's no one new. There's no one new because there's nothing to offer. Just being honest here. There is nothing to offer. We have a community, but why would you walk into a room of people chatting and having their conversations amongst each other when you do not know any of them? Why would you walk into that room and suddenly walk up to a group and start talking? What they're talking about is completely unrelated to anything that you want to talk about. And even so, if you have an opinion and they have an opinion about this topic, why would you just walk up to them and talk about this topic? You don't know them. I certainly would not come up to a group that was having a conversation and just butt into their conversation because I was not part of that conversation. And that is how I feel the Discord goes. I weaseled my way into a different community. I got active in there slowly, very slowly, simply by posting music in their music area. Eventually, that's what I became known for. Eventually, that's what I became recognized for. And then other opportunities opened up, where I could talk about other things with people there, because I actually felt like I was now part of something, because I was recognized. You're not going to have people doing that very often on Discord. Most people will come into a community, see what it's about, not know anything there, not know anybody there, and they're not going to talk about something out of the blue with somebody they don't know, usually. You need an icebreaker. And this is where hobbies come in. This is where role-playing comes in. This is where stories come in, etc., etc. Now, we do have gaming sections, and it's nice to talk about games. It's nice to talk about maybe music. I wouldn't say politics so much. That seems to be the domain of people who know each other very well, can yell at each other for a while, and then go back to talking about something else. Not exactly the domain of someone new, but it's there. So what is there to keep new people in this community? More to the point, what is this community now? I think this is a discussion that we need to have. I don't know if we will have this discussion, but it does need to be had. How are we going to continue, as a community? What are we going forward? What are we going to be going forward? Are we going to continue being a role-playing community? Are we going to be a community of some other stripe that just happens to have role-playing as well? These are things we need to know. If we're going to be a role-playing community, I think we need to come to terms with the fact that no one here gives a gosh darn golly about nation states, about role-playing nations, or about anything else having to do with, political roleplay of any other stripe. It's quite obvious. No one's doing it. We do like to create nations, but no one has really the wherewithal to do what we used to do, say, I don't know, 5, 7, 10 years ago, and create international intrigues in creating a world of political intrigue and different national conflicts and crises, etc., etc. I feel like I speak for a lot of people when I say that we are tired of these intrigues. We live these intrigues every day now, actually. We watch the news. We read reports. Some of us even do scholarly studies on these topics. These are not things that we are keen to invent as children anymore. We are not content to come up with the wild fantasies of kids who have barely an inkling of how the world works and pretend that we do, to create a fantastical world of politics where all of our wonderful ideas of how the world works just come together perfectly. No, nation role-playing's dead. I will go ahead and say that right out. Nation states is a shrinking community, and nation role-playing is dead, even though other places continue to try to crop up and continue with it. There's no energy behind it anymore, especially not here in Eternity. There's no energy. I don't have the energy. I created Newland as a vessel to try and coax myself back into the nation role-playing era, group, thing, whatever. I'm not going to try to find the right word. I was going to administer Newland. I ended up doing a lot more than administering it. Ultimately, I guess the failure would be mine, because I assumed people still wanted to do nation role-playing. No, at least they didn't want to do anything with Newland, but I guess it's a bit more than that. They didn't want to do it at all, because even then, people stopped doing it with their own nations. We grew tired, I assume. At least I did, and I know several other people did. So, we created other roleplay areas. We created Alternative Earth. What happened with that? About 10 different people creating about 7 different topics, all on their own, not interacting, because it's in a world where activities happened in isolation in each country. News was slow, and even then, people generally didn't care about what happened outside of their own community. Sure, you had the Great Game going on in the 1780s and so on, where we have started Alternative Earth, but it wasn't the interconnected, light-speed travel of information world that we have today. The kind of world that makes modern roleplay easier to do. Outside of war or trade or diplomacy, what else is there to do? Not much in Alternative Earth. And sure, we can go on and create our stories, alone, as we have been. But where are we going with it? Why is it that in the last 2 months, I'm the only person that has made posts in Alternative Earth? Of course, I haven't really helped because my posts are to myself. My thread is solo. There's not much interaction I can do until time moves along. But who's to start that? Who's to come up with the ideas for roleplay? I have created areas for us to try to come up with ideas for roleplay, but I really don't see anyone ever using them. I don't know who has the time. I don't know who has the wherewithal or the energy. So what is this community then? I don't know. Maybe you have ideas. Maybe someone should come up with a discussion for this and hope that someone actually responds to it. I doubt either of those is going to happen.